For over 2 decades, there's been this one question echoing through the city of Milwaukee. It's a question that has absolutely haunted a family and just baffled investigators. And it all starts on what should have been a totally ordinary spring morning during a walk to a first grade classroom.
Right. How does that happen? On May 3rd, 2002, 7-year-old Alexis Patterson was there 1 minute and just gone the next. The real mystery is what happened in that tiny space, that short walk between her stepfather's side and the schoolyard gate.
So, look here. On the left, this is Alexis as everyone remembers her, a bright, smiling little girl who loved school so much she literally had a perfect attendance record. And on the right, well, that's a forensic artist's best guess of the woman she'd be today. That contrast, that's the gut-wrenching reality of this case. A childhood just frozen in time.
At the very heart of this whole story is her mom, Ayana, and this quote, it just says everything about her incredible, unwavering hope. For Ayana, even after all these years, Alexis isn't some memory from the past. She is her daughter. She's still out there, just waiting to be found. Okay, so let's go back to that morning, Friday, May 3rd, 2002. It really did start like any other day in their house, that familiar morning chaos of getting a kid ready for school. What's so tragic about this is just how normal it all was. The night before, Alexis's mom had told her she couldn't bring cupcakes to school because she hadn't done her homework. And Alexis, well, she was a 7-year-old, so of course she was really upset. That little argument carried over into the next morning, kind of setting the tone for a day that would just completely unravel into a nightmare. Let's walk through exactly what happened. So her stepfather, Laurent Bourgeois, he said he walked with Alexis because she was still crying about the whole cupcake thing. He claims he last saw her around 8 a.m., watching her cross the street right into the school's playground. The day goes on, hours tick by, but when Alexis isn't home by 2:55 p.m., her mom immediately gets that feeling, that pit in your stomach. She panics and rushes to the school. And that's when her worst fear comes true. The school tells her Alexis was marked absent. She never, ever made it inside. The second the school confirmed Alexis was missing, a huge search was launched. But as hours turned into days and that search came up with absolutely nothing, the investigation started to shift its focus from the streets of Milwaukee right to the family's front door. I mean, the initial response was just massive. We're talking helicopters, divers, police on horseback, the whole city mobilized. And the community, they flooded the neighborhood, so determined to find this little girl. Her face was absolutely everywhere, on flyers taped to every single shop and telephone pole. The entire city was just desperate for answers. At first, the police thought maybe she'd run away, because of the argument over the cupcakes. But her mother, Ayana, she was just adamant. She knew her daughter. She knew Alexis would never, ever run away, especially not from school, no matter how upset she was. So with the runaway theory not really holding up and absolutely no signs of an abduction, investigators had to look at that timeline again. And that timeline, it ended with one person, her stepfather, Laurent Bourgeois. He was the last person who said they saw Alexis. And then the investigation took a really serious turn. Police gave a polygraph test to Laurent Bourgeois, and according to their sources, he failed. Now, I know these results aren't something you can use in court, but you can bet it immediately made the suspicion around him that much stronger. 10 days after Alexis vanished, the whole case officially changed. Police announced they no longer believed they were looking for a runaway. This was now a criminal investigation, which basically confirmed they believed foul play was involved. Right as this investigation in Milwaukee was heating up, another missing child case was about to just explode on the national scene. And the difference in how these two cases were treated, well, it really highlighted a painful and ongoing issue. So just 1 month after Alexis disappeared, another child, Elizabeth Smart, was abducted in Utah. But the media response was just starkly different. I mean, Alexis's story was a major local event for sure, but Elizabeth Smart's abduction became a national obsession. It was leading the news for months on end. It just really underscored this painful reality in media coverage. And it raises a question that's still so relevant today. Why do some stories grab the nation's attention, while others, like that of a little black girl from Milwaukee, just don't? So as the national spotlight moved on, the years for the Patterson family just stretched on and on. A decade passed, and then more. Time wasn't marked by progress, but by this long silence, broken up only by these moments of just agonizing false hope. And then, in 2016, something shocking happened. A man in Ohio called the police, claiming his ex-wife was actually the missing Alexis Patterson. And she looked a lot like the age-progressed photos, and her background had these really strange similarities. For the first time in 14 long years, it felt like there was a real, tangible chance that Alexis had been found. The hope was just overwhelming. Ayanna saw pictures of the woman and was convinced it was her daughter. But after this agonizing wait, the results came in. The DNA test was definitive. The woman was not Alexis. The most promising lead in over a decade had just vanished, leaving the family completely devastated all over again.
Then, in 2021, another door to potential answers slammed shut for good. Laurent Bourgeois, the last person to see Alexis, and a key person of interest this entire time, he died. Whatever secrets he might have held about that morning, well, they died with him. Just when you think this case couldn't get any colder or more complicated, a really strange and disturbing new claim popped up from a place you'd never expect.
This is a direct quote from an inmate named Justin Welch. In 2021, he alleged that another prisoner came to him with this shocking offer: take the blame for the murder of Alexis Patterson. Apparently, this other inmate thought that because the case was so high profile, if he confessed, even if it was a lie, he could get a transfer to a different prison. Welch said he was so disturbed by the whole thing, especially the graphic details the other inmate was sharing, that he flat out refused and reported it immediately. But he claims his tip was never followed up on, which just adds another frustrating and unresolved layer to this long line of dead ends. It's an unverified claim for sure, but a deeply unsettling piece of the puzzle. More than 22 years. I mean, that's a whole lifetime for a child, and it's an absolute eternity for a mother who's still waiting for answers. And yet, the search isn't over. The Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office still has an active $10,000 reward out there. This isn't just some cold case files sitting in a drawer. It's an active search for a girl they are still hoping to bring home. So we end right where we began, with that same haunting question. What happened to Alexis Patterson in that half-a-block walk to school? Was it a stranger? Was it someone she knew? The answers are out there. And maybe, just maybe, someone listening right now holds the key to finally bringing them to light.